at noon.
We start with what has been our top local news story this week, President Biden's visit to the Pacific Northwest. Today, the president's in Seattle, but yesterday, his trip began with Air Force One landing here at PDX. The president's Portland stop lasted just under 4 hours, and he used that time to talk about his investments in infrastructure. Welcome to the news at noon. I'm Drew Carney. There was a lot of excitement surrounding the first presidential visit to Portland in 7 years, but President Biden also arrived here with his approval rating way down and the country's inflation way up. Alma McCarty has more on the president's visit to the Rose City.
We've fallen behind. We haven't invested in ourselves.
During his brief stop in Portland, President Biden addressed the shortcomings in American infrastructure, as well as his $1 trillion plus plan to fix them.
Bothers the heck out of me that there's this belief that we can't do big things anymore. But we can. We're proving we can. And we must build a better America. And a good place to start is right here in Portland.
PDX front and center, the president touting the millions to be invested at the airport, some of that funding to make sure the runway Air Force One landed on is earthquake ready.
I don't have to tell you, anyone here in Oregon, it sits on a major earthquake zone.
The president said more than $650 million will go to fix Oregon roads and bridges this year. Money through the Infrastructure Act will help replace lead pipes, expand high-speed internet, and invest in upgrades to help communities fight wildfires, floods, and droughts. Work, he says, will create locally thousands of jobs.
I'm more optimistic about America's potential today than I've been any time in my career.
Among those who believe in the president's message and the infrastructure plan, Congressman Peter DeFazio.
I've championed for years under both Democratic and Republican administrations. The last administration, while they talked really big, they produced nothing. But this president, President Biden, took on this challenge, and we are finally able to deliver for the American people.
Though Republican Congressman Cliff Bentz doubts Oregonians will see results anytime soon.
He's promising with one hand to put all this money into Oregon, and with the other saying, but he didn't say it loudly today, did he? Didn't even mention it. You may never see them because of the environmental issues. We need our roads, we need our bridges, we need our pipelines, we need our oil producing areas if we're going to have any effect on driving down inflation.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
After his speech at the airport yesterday, President Biden went north to Seattle. Before that, though, he did visit the Portland Yacht Club for a private fundraising event. It was a private event inside, but there was a crowd of people on the outside. Some of those people simply trying to catch a glimpse of the commander-in-chief, but others were hoping the president would see them and take note of some of the harsh realities that Portland faces, including the city's homeless crisis.
They were talking in a news article about them maybe trying to get things cleaned up. I think it's really important that he sees the situation here in Portland and gets an idea of the people that are suffering here.
I think it's pretty cool. In my lifetime, it's pretty cool. He's just a block away, even if I don't get to see him.
So the news crews we had there yesterday said that crowd of people did get to see the president's motorcade leave, but they never actually got to see President Biden. As we just mentioned, after he left Portland, President Biden headed north to Seattle, and he's still there this afternoon. During his Seattle visit today, he signed an executive order protecting some of the nation's largest and oldest trees. The order requires agencies like the Forest Service to identify threats to older trees and develop policies to protect them. The White House did say the order does not ban logging of mature or old growth trees. All right, we'll get back to some more local headlines in a moment, but we do want to take a break here in the newsroom this afternoon to check in with Rod Hill and have a look at our weather. Rod, what do you have for us?
It's been a nice quiet day so far. That changes somewhat this afternoon. Let's show you the big picture of the satellite and the radar. Kind of a mix of partly cloudy skies really statewide at this point. And you can see the green specks just in the past hour really start to pop. Everybody across our state and up into Washington has a scattered shower threat this afternoon. And radar showing showers starting to pick up along the Coast Range, the Cascades, and then some of the Willapa Hills, and then up into north of Longview. So partly cloudy skies currently out in Hood River. Here's Cathedral Ridge Winery. Nice day out there. Cumulus clouds starting to build somewhat over downtown Portland. We're at 54, so that's a very pleasant temperature. Our Futurecast models, which I'll show you coming up in just a couple of minutes, indicate that in the 2 to 3 o'clock hour, we'll start to see some showers. moving into the valley. So there's a good chance a lot of us will see some rain in proximity. 62 the high. Once the sun goes down this evening, the rain chance quickly ends, and the weekend, Mr. Carney, still looks very, very nice.
Sounds good, Mr. Hill. We'll have more from Rod coming up here in just a few minutes. Right now, though, we do want to get back to some other local headlines, and we start with a former employee at the Oregon Health Authority who's been indicted for embezzling almost $1.5 million in federal COVID funds. The health authority says they hired this employee to process invoices from outside vendors related to the vaccination effort, but an investigation found they falsified documents under a fake business. The former employee has since left the country. She faces 21 counts of theft, and the Justice Department has requested an arrest warrant. Also making headlines, the Multnomah County Commission unanimously approved an ordinance that would fine people for displaying human remains for profit. This comes after a KGW investigation exposed a traveling autopsy show at a Portland hotel. A doctor dissected the body of a 98-year-old man, and people paid $500 to watch that show. So in the future, violators will be fined and their profits will be taken. Meanwhile, 3 people are in custody after a chase and rollover crash in North Portland. This happened yesterday on North Interstate Avenue and Kilpatrick. Portland police say the car crashed into a parked patrol vehicle and another car before driving away. No officers were hurt. Passengers in the other car were treated for minor injuries. And that's a look at some of today's local headlines.